2024. What a year. Let's recap all we've learned this year and what's ahead for the Orlando Magic on our final episode of the year today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is December 31st, 2024. Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Philip Rossman. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we're going to recap everything that happened in 2024, why 2024 was truly a banner year for the Orlando Magic, and what lies ahead in 2025. We'll get to all that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. And you can make Locked On Magic an even bigger part of your day with the Locked On Magic Daily Newsletter, the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic Newsletter. When the 2024 calendar year began last year, the shine of the Orlando Magic and their 9-game winning streak had already begun to wear off. The Magic were in a difficult stretch of the schedule. They were on the West Coast. They just lost to the Phoenix Suns. Injuries and illness were about to overtake them. They were sitting at 19-13. Same record they had back when Scott Skiles was the head coach. And so some of us who've been around had a little bit of shell shock. Was this too good to be true? Would the Magic be able to sustain? Would the Magic be able to remain a playoff team? All of it seemed too good to be true. We'd been here before. We'd been fed the hope. We believed they were on the precipice of something, but they'd never done it before. And winning for the first time is an absolute joy. There is a carefreeness. There's a carefree spirit to how a team plays when they're experiencing winning for the first time. But like I said, the shine had started to come off. To say the least, while there was still plenty of optimism and hope of what the Orlando Magic would become, all of us, I think, still had very modest expectations. We expected the team to fade a little bit. We were expecting that this team would still be in the play-in tournament, that they were developing nicely, but still just taking baby steps. Of course, the first win of 2024 was perhaps the most memorable win in Magic, one of the more memorable wins in Magic history. With just about everyone on the team hurt. Franz Wagner out with a sprained ankle. Anthony Black dealing with an illness. Just injuries all over the roster. Paolo Banchero recorded his first career triple-double and led a ragtag group of players into Denver for a 122-120 victory. It was one of those wins that it was the win of the season, in the regular season at least. And it made everybody believe that Paolo Banchero is that dude, if they didn't already, but made everyone believe this team's going to be okay. And while the Magic had to wade through another few weeks of injuries, as they got healthy, as they got better, they delivered time and time again. By the time this 2024 season ended, the Magic had established themselves as one of the best up-and-coming teams in the league. Paolo Banchero was named an all-star. Franz Wagner was on the precipice of doing so. And the Magic found themselves with 46 wins and the 5 seed. On a celebratory afternoon in Orlando, the Magic clinched a playoff berth against the Milwaukee Bucks, putting aside all last remnants of doubt after a difficult last week of the season, put their playoff hopes on the line on that final day. The Magic truly delivered a 113-88 victory that made it just a euphoric afternoon. That is the only way to describe it. A euphoric afternoon and one of the best days to be a Magic fan in a very, very long time. The Magic had delivered something to their fan base that they hadn't experienced in so long. not just hope, but belief. Belief that the future was going to be that much better. That the future wasn't so far off in the distance or something promised. The future was something happening now. And as the Magic entered their playoff series against Cleveland Cavaliers, as the Magic were probably the team that Cleveland was angling to face as a young team with no experience, the Magic had to show that they weren't just the team of the future, they were the team of the now. And while games 1 and 2 were rough, to say the least, those growing pains happened very quickly. And Orlando stormed ahead in games 3 and 4. They gave away game 5, and yeah, they gave it away. Great block by Evan Mobley. But came home for game 6. Backs against the wall. A true gut check. A true gut punch for this team. How would they respond to a crushing playoff defeat? They responded by answering the call. They responded by making all the plays down the stretch at home to extend the series back to Cleveland. And while the Magic did lose game 7 and blew a large lead in game 7 and had some disappointing performances, the Magic had made their statement into the offseason. They were the 5 seed, but they were not done. This was not some end of the road. This was the beginning. 2024 will always be the year of the beginning. A year that showed that the Magic were not just some up-and-coming team, but the Magic were a force that is coming faster than the league wants to realize. And the Magic have made that clear through the first half or first 3 quarters, first third of the 2025 season. Despite only having Paolo Banchero for 5 games, despite an injury to Franz Wagner, the Magic have shown that Paolo Banchero is a superstar in the making. A 50-point game, averaging 29 points per game through his first 5 games. Paolo Banchero got better in every conceivable fashion to be not just an all-star, but a superstar. But his absence did not derail the Magic. Instead, it unlocked something new. It showed that Franz Wagner was also ready to step up to the plate as a star player. That he was also ready to be one of the best players in the league. And with Paolo Banchero out, the Magic did not miss a beat because of what Franz Wagner gave them. Because of what Jamal Mosley has instilled in this team over 3 seasons on defense as one of the elite defensive teams in the league. Orlando sits here at 20-14 at the end of the 2024 calendar year. 4th place in the Eastern Conference. Still going strong and winning improbable games, making a 25-point comeback against the Heat, making a 15-point halftime comeback against the Boston Celtics without their 2 best players. The Magic have shown a true resolve that tells us they are on the right track. That yes, they have an all-star in Paolo Banchero. They have an all-star in Franz Wagner. But they have a culture and a system that can still win and succeed without them. They add to it and elevate this thing into a potential title contender. That's what 2024 is for the Orlando Magic. Again, it is not just a beginning, it is an arrival. The Orlando Magic are here and they are here to stay. Where this road ends, where this path ends, who knows? But for the first time in 14 years, 15 years, the Magic could see a pathway to the NBA championship. They can see the road, as winding as it might be, as there hills there might be. They see that Emerald City with the golden trophy off in the distance. It's not obscured by fog or in some deep valley or going through Mordor or anything like that. See how many pop culture references I can throw in here. The Magic know that they're on the road to a championship. They don't know where that road ends. They don't know what that road might cost. They don't know if they will have to take a detour. But they are on that road. And for the first time in 15 years, we can say that on New Year's Eve. 2024 is truly an all-time year for the Orlando Magic, an all-time calendar year for the Orlando Magic. on par with getting the first overall pick in 1992, on par with making the finals in 1995, on par with 2009 and making that run to the finals and beginning that stellar 2010 season. 2024 is truly one of the great years in Magic history. And it's kind of sad to see it go, but it's certainly very exciting to see what comes next. So, where are the Magic today? Let's chat a little bit about the Orlando Magic and the state of the standings as we turn that calendar. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of the Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Rocket RX. If you're ready to boost your confidence and take control in the bedroom, Rocket RX has the solution. Imagine feeling more prepared and performing at your best. Rocket RX makes it simple and stress-free. Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits or pharmacy trips, but you still have to listen to uncomfortable ad reads. Everything is delivered straight to your door in discreet, plain packaging. With Rocket RX, you'll get trusted care from a real U.S. clinical team, complete a quick 100% online consultation, and you could get your free prescription today. Visit rocketrx.com to get started now. It only takes 2 minutes. Right now, our listeners can get 40% off your first order when you use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's rocketrx.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for 40% off your first order. Terms and conditions apply. Rocket RX, better sex made simple. So we're doing a sort of Christmas Carol thing here. Ghost of Christmas Past just finished. This is the Ghost of Christmas Present. This is the Ghost of Christmas as it is. Where do the Orlando Magic stand in the 2024 and the 2025 season as we begin to turn the calendar? As everyone has noted, the Orlando Magic are still leading the league in games played. They have played the most games in the NBA so far this season. That is something that is an effect in the standings as well. No other team has played 34 games. There are 5 other teams that have played 33. Let me double check my math. 5 other teams that have played 33. So obviously everything evens out in the end. The Magic had played 17 road games to 10 home games. They had a 7-game homestand. They're now at 17-17. So can't complain about that. The Orlando Magic are 20-14. At 34 games last year, the Orlando Magic were 19-15. So they are 1 game ahead of last year's 46 win pace. And again, we know that Paolo Banchero is coming back here in the next week and a half. We know that Franz Wagner will be back around the All-Star break. We actually know that the Magic have had a very difficult schedule at this point of the season. The Magic have a lot to look forward to. And in fact, one of the things that we can say about this Magic team is they have gotten through what we think is the toughest part of their schedule. When the schedule came out, I think you could go back and listen to the episode in August. I'm pretty sure I said, just get to New Year's, just get to the new year, and then see where you're at and start making up ground. We expect that, honestly, I expect that January will be a month to stack up wins, especially with Paolo Banchero coming back. But here's where things stand. The Orlando Magic are 20-14. They are in 4th place in the Eastern Conference. They are 3.5 games back of the New York Knicks at 23-10, a game and a half ahead of the Atlanta Hawks for 5th place at 18-15. The Milwaukee Bucks sitting at 16-14. Yes, they've only played 30 games. The Bucks sitting at 16-14 are 2 games back. Now, again, games played matters here. The Knicks have played 33 games. They have 3 more wins. So, the Knicks will have 1 more game to make up on Orlando. The Knicks have a game in hand on Orlando. The Magic are playing some catch up there. The Hawks are 18-15 and played 1 fewer game than Orlando as well. So the Hawks have 1 more loss despite playing 1 fewer game. Same thing with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks have the same number of losses despite playing 4 fewer games in the Orlando Magic. Now, Milwaukee's a team that could easily go 4-0 and all that might heat the same deal. They're 16-14 as well. The Magic, though, are in an advantageous position with the teams behind them. And again, the Magic had played a reportedly softer schedule. That's something that's also seen in the numbers. According to Positive Residual, a website that tracks NBA schedules and takes into account rest advantage, quality opponent, the Orlando Magic have the 4th easiest schedule remaining. 4th easiest schedule remaining. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy to think at this point. In fact, to this point, the Orlando Magic they haven't even played one of the tougher schedules in the league. They're about middle of the pack, about 503 strength of schedule rating. They have the fourth easiest schedule left in the league. They've played Boston once. They'll play Boston again. They played Milwaukee once. They played New York 3 times. There's reasons for this. But a big part of it is, yes, there are easier opponents coming down the line. And again, you look at this next stretch of games coming up for the Orlando Magic. Detroit is a solid team. The Magic play them on Wednesday. Detroit's 14-18. The Orlando Magic are playing all teams under 500 for the next 3 games. At Detroit, at Toronto versus Utah. They get New York, Minnesota, Milwaukee, then Philadelphia again under 500. At Milwaukee, at Boston, Denver, Toronto, Portland, Detroit. Then they go on their West Coast road trip. The Magic still have to learn how to beat good teams. And again, they'll get Paolo Banchero back here. I'm anticipating Paolo Banchero will be back either January 5th or January 9th. We are in the countdown to Paolo Banchero's return. It's coming soon, and that's going to help and boost this team in so many ways. Because while there is a lot to like about the Orlando Magic, there's still a lot of work to do. The Orlando Magic are still 3rd in the league in defensive rating. They are carried by their defense, a 106.3 defensive rating. Their net rating of plus 2.6, though, is only 10th in the league. That's because the Magic have one of the worst offenses in the league once again. Orlando comes in at 25th in the league with a 109.0 offensive rating. They have the worst offense in the league over the last 10 games or so since Franz Wagner's injury. Let me just make sure I got that right. In their last 9 games, the Orlando Magic have only the Charlotte Hornets have a worst offense in the last 9 games, a 105.3 offensive rating. We're talking Washington, Brooklyn, who's been really bad without Cam Thomas. It's been a struggle to score, but their defense has been so good. They've kept them in a lot of games. And obviously, there's something about this team that just goes beyond stats. They find ways to win and kind of do whatever the game calls on them to do. This is a solid team. And again, it's a team that we know is playing with one arm tied behind its back with a lot more to do. Now, I say all this, nothing is promised in this league. Teams lose to bad teams all the time. Not all the time, otherwise they'd be better. It happens. The Magic still have a lot to prove. And honestly, so much of what we're talking about here is about the Magic continuing to show that they can step up to the next stage. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But where the Magic stand today is in a much better place than I think any of us could have anticipated. Because again, I think we expected this to be the tough part of the schedule. It'll get tough again in March and April, but we understood, or at least we looked on paper and said, get to the new year, and then we could figure things out. We didn't know then that the Magic would be down as many players as they're down, to be without Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner for long periods of time. Certainly, very few teams would be this competitive, missing their 2 best players. There just aren't a lot of teams that can survive like that. And for the Magic, even to be at 500, they're 4-5 over their last 9 games, even to be 500 without Franz Wagner is really darn impressive. It makes you wonder what this team's going to be like when they are fully healthy. And so, as we start to look forward, what's in store in 2025? What can we expect the rest of the season, and what needs to happen to make this season as successful as last year, or this year as successful as last year? That's how we want to end the show, with what's in store in 2025. We'll get to that coming up here in just a minute. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to our friends over at Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That's definitely happened to me, to my friends. I've had a few subscriptions. When I look at my credit card bill, I'm like, what is that? I don't remember this. I don't even know what this company is. And trying to track that down is so difficult. Well, Rocket Money makes it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has more than 5 million users and has saved a total of million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, I usually go through my credit card statements with a fine-tooth comb. I track everything. But even I find some stuff that I'm just like, what is that? I don't remember what this thing is. Well, Rocket Money helps you find those things and gets rid of the ones you don't want to keep. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. So obviously, 2024, at least the playing part of it, in the books for the Orlando Magic. A great banner season for the Orlando, banner year for the Orlando Magic. One of the most consequential years in this team's history. But obviously, like I said, it's not the end. It's the beginning. It's the start. It's the arrival. And now it's about how do the Magic stay and increase their presence at the dates. That's what the next calendar year is. If 2024 was about proving our proof of concept and making a statement of arrival, 2025 is about proving that the Orlando Magic belong. And that's proving they belong in so many different facets. Obviously, the big one is proving that the Magic belong by making the playoffs again. Having another playoff series, having another strong playoff showing, and yes, getting to the next round. If the Magic are on a meteoric rise that gets better year over year over year, and the Magic made a Game 7 as the 5 seed last year, getting to the second round with home court advantage, that's been the Magic's rallying cry. That's been the Magic's goal since training camp. They've told us that's what they want to accomplish. They have made that no secret. We're not guessing and saying, oh, we think they want to make the playoffs. Do they really want? And of course, they're going to say that, but do they really want to? No. The Magic have made that abundantly clear that they want to not only make the playoffs again, they want home court advantage. They want to have Game 7 on their floor just in case that happens again. Of course, the Magic should hope not to get to a Game 7. It'd be nice to win a comfortable series, but in likely a 4-5 or even a 3-6, that's not a guarantee. So the Magic not only have to prove themselves again that they can get back to the playoffs and compete, they've got to prove they can win. And so if we're looking for small goals, the Orlando Magic should have this goal in mind too. They've got to prove they belong on the championship stage. And that's something they have struggled to do, even last year. Look, Orlando gets only so precious few opportunities on national TV. They are not a team in the national spotlight. They are not a team that garners a lot of attention. It's wrong. Paolo Banchero should be a household name. He should be a player that the league wants to market. But for whatever reason, the number one pick did not net the Magic attention. Being in the playoffs, having a strong showing in Game 7, having a superstar showing from their best player in the playoffs isn't netting the team attention. But every time the Magic do get that spotlight shined on them, they've struggled. A loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder on Shaq retirement night last year. The loss to the New York Knicks in the NBA Cup after the Magic had to kind of argue their way back onto national TV. The quarterfinals in the NBA Cup game against the Milwaukee Bucks, while a really strong showing and a reason for the Magic to be proud of the way that they played, still a dropped game. Still a lost game and a lost opportunity on a big stage. The loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder that required a comeback. The loss to Cleveland Cavaliers that was not as close as the final score indicated in the first game without Paolo Banchero. The Magic have just 2 more opportunities on national TV, at least that are scheduled, to make that statement of intent against the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference. They'll play the Boston Celtics in Boston in mid-January, and then follow that up in early February at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Those are 2 opportunities for the Magic to not only tell the world, but confirm to themselves that they can step up on the big stage, that they are a championship contender. I don't think anyone around the league, and I'm not going to say it, I don't think anyone around the league considers the Magic a serious title contender yet. The tier in the Eastern Conference is Boston, Cleveland, New York. And Orlando's obviously lost 3 to New York already. They'll play the Knicks again next Monday. It's Boston, Cleveland, New York. Orlando is probably in their own tier by themselves. A team that everyone recognizes is a team on the rise, but has not arrived yet. Not at that championship level. That's where the Magic have to get themselves. And they got to do it on the court first and foremost. But it also means they've got to answer some questions off the court as well. We knew entering the season that this Magic team was flawed. We admitted it. We understood it. It was a team that had shown some growth, that was given the opportunity to continue growing and make mistakes. But whether it happens at this year's trade deadline or in the offseason, it is time to take more concrete steps toward contending. To look at this roster honestly and say, they need this, and to go out and get it. To go out and find it and find someone that fits this team's culture, that's going to embrace what this team is, and add to it. Continuity only works when you're winning. Well, the Magic are winning on small levels. But pretty soon, the only measure of success is going to be championships. We're not there yet. It's okay that we're not there yet. But we're going to get there very, very soon. Within the next year, for sure. If everything continues along the way that it's going. The Magic will measure their success in rings. And I think very clearly, the Magic don't quite have a championship roster. They need an offense that can function. They need an offense that's not in the bottom 10. The Magic haven't had an offense out of the bottom 10 since Dwight. It's been a long time. And while I will note that in the 5 games Paolo Banchero played, the Magic were 15th in the league in offensive rating. And I will note, if you take out those first 4 games during the losing streak after Paolo's injury, that the Magic, until Franz Wagner's injury, were also 15th in the league in offensive rating during that time. I don't think the Magic's offense is far off from being pretty competent. But the Magic obviously have to put some care and attention there. They can't have one of the worst offenses in the league and expect to compete for a championship. They have to be a threat offensively in the playoffs. And they got away with it in the playoffs against the Cavs, but in Game 7, we all saw what happened. Look, you're not going to win many games when your second and third best player are unable to hit shots and get quality looks that they're getting, but the Magic had no other outlet and no other way to score. Offense ultimately did them in. Offense remains their Achilles heel. And so what is in store for 2025? Like I said, 2024 is about arrival. 2025 is about staying at the party. It's about being a bigger presence at the party. It's about proving that the Magic belong. That they're members of this exclusive contenders club. And 2025 calendar year is going to be filled with success. The Magic are going back to the playoffs, back-to-back playoff appearances, and barring something crazy happening. I don't want to say that for sure. The Magic are likely going to find themselves fighting for home court advantage. They have taken the lessons that they learned from 2024 and applied them to this season. But this is also a year when the Magic become more serious about not just making the playoffs, but contending for a championship. And while the 2025 playoffs are not the playoffs likely where the Magic will be winning or competing for a championship, the pathway to that road is going to open. And the Magic will have to find their way onto that path, because no road to a championship is straight. And there are a lot of options and a lot of roads ahead of you, and you can pick the wrong one very, very easily. And so the Magic have to prove they belong and find the right road ahead. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. I want to thank you again for listening to Locked On Magic throughout the 2024 calendar year. I hope you have a very happy new year. Enjoy it however you enjoy it. I'm going to be at the Citrus Bowl, covering the Citrus Bowl. I'll be working. And then celebrating New Year watching college football. I am looking forward to the first game of 2025 on Wednesday as your Orlando Magic take on the Detroit Pistons. You can subscribe to this podcast, of course, on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all Philly Cell podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to me, be sure to check out the Locked On Magic Daily Newsletter, the one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic Newsletter. That's going to do it for me today for 2024. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We are taking tomorrow off because I'm going to be up till midnight anyway, celebrating the new year. Not going to be any space to do a podcast. So we will see you Wednesday after the Orlando Magic's game against Detroit Pistons. We'll recap that game and so much more. Until then, Happy New Year, everyone. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.